everyone's like, holidays are crazy. We've got to go to see family and travel, and we've got to get everything in for work and end of year stuff. And then in January, everyone's like, it's crazy. We've got to set goals and we've got to achieve our
I
goals
know.
and blah, blah. And I'm just like, hey, when are we going to take a break? And when are we going to check in with the ways in which we're participating with our consumerist society or our capitalistic
Hmm.
society? And I don't even have that much beef with capitalism when it's done well, but it's like we just continue to put ourselves on these wheels and continue to be like, oh my God, I got to set these goals. I got to finish these things. I got to spike our adrenaline somehow and our cortisol somehow through this goal setting. And it just drives us crazy. And it
Hmm.
really keeps us out of presence. And again, like giving evidence at the beginning to why goals are super important to me for most of my life and discipline was. But as I sort of progress on my journey, and it's all part of a journey, and you're on your journey, I'm on mine, and our audience is on a different journey, each one of them individually. But it does bring us out of presence because we're always focused on the next thing. And I did find myself at the end going crazy because I was
Yes.
like, okay, in 3 days, I've got to do this. In 4 days, I've got to do this. And in a month, I've got to be here. And in this, and I was time traveling a little bit too much where I wasn't really enjoying the present, or I wasn't really in my body, or I wasn't really focusing on the here and now. And I
Mm.
was missing a lot of life because I was so obsessed with being in the future with my goals.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think I remember the moment. I just remember feeling it in my body when like we were making some goal, or we had made some goal, and then we didn't meet that goal by
Which
quite
one?
a bit. And because the goal was like pretty crazy,
Yes.
and it was numbers focused, and I kind of want to speak to like our obsession with kind of like quantifying things and just kind of gamifying and being in that like number system of like, so how much money do you have here? How much did you make from this? Or how many downloads
How
do you
many
have here? How many
figs?
people? How many figs, baby? And it's like, okay, are we again just doing that because that's what everyone's doing and sharing and asking for? Like, what is that? I think, I think there is like another layer of that where we're like, okay, well, we have a team, and we also want them to feel at times like goals motivate people. And I think when you meet a goal, it's really good for morale. So I think that was also kind of a part of the reason. But we hit a point where we were just like, why are we making these crazy goals? And then we're like, the letdown is like so real.
So real. Yo, you guys, we were goals, go crazy. Because this is what it is. It's in the personal growth, self-development space where like everyone's talking about how many figs a day they're making. And everyone's like, just it's an interesting space because people are very public about their money, public about their
Hmm.
numbers. Your numbers are public on display a lot of times. And so I got caught up in being like, okay, I see them at this goal. I want to be at this goal. Or I see us at this goal. I want to be at this goal. And making these like number goals that were literally pulled out of my ass, like
Yeah.
made no basis or sense. And I've said this before, but a conversation with Justin where I told him, I'm like, oh, we didn't hit a goal that we set. I feel really sad. He's like, well, where are your goals coming from? Like, what is your goal? And I'm like, oh, to double this, whatever the thing was. And he's like, that's not how businesses make goals. He's like, they don't say double it. They say grow by 15%, grow by 20%, grow by a sustainable amount that you can handle. And I was
Hmm.
like, wow, that's so true because that feels better. It feels like you could hold it. It feels more sustainable. And when you're doubling everything, it's just kind of out of nowhere. And so for us as a business, we had a lot of goals previously. We've met goals, we haven't met goals. We've kind of been all over the board, Lindsey and I. And it's funny because we've achieved things that we haven't set goals for, but we haven't achieved things we've set goals for, which is very interesting. So for the first couple of years, we were like, we want to hit this certain number a month, didn't hit the number, but then we would have something else happen. We'd have a monetary goal achieved, or we'd have a team member goal achieved, or, we'd have these things achieved. And so the past couple of months and even the past couple of years after one launch that we did where we were like, no more. Like, we are no longer going to participate in launches where we're focused on numbers. We're going to be very clear about that. We are about the impact that we're making, and the numbers don't matter. So we had to set that boundary. And then ever since, we felt such freedom where I feel really good about where we are as a business. I feel really great about the team synergy. We feel really great about our relationship and everything moving
Mm-hmm.
forward. And it's lifted something where we're like, okay, we can creatively express and be and work with the energy of almost 30 and support our community in the best way possible. And it doesn't have to be dictated by whatever the numbers are telling us it has to be dictated by.
Yeah, it's so much more about the quality of what we're producing. And I do think that without the number goals specifically, we're able to see and feel, like you said, just like the good in the present moment, where I feel like more often we're now being like, wow, like this team member is just killing it. Yes, yes. Like just these like daily things that we're like, yeah, you know what? Like a year ago, this wasn't here and look at us now. And we're able to pick up on those things rather than being so hyper focused in one
Yes.
direction. It's like, oh, we're open and ready to receive kind of like the big and little things that are always improving and growing. So
Yeah, I think
it's been
too, something about
beneficial.
the team that I wanted to mention, and I think is a really important piece. So when we're thinking about like the goal setting in the brain and its effect sort of on what's going on cognitively, there are different parts of the brain that it's impacting, and goal setting really rewires our brain to make certain parts work more effectively. So there are parts of the brain that do get activated with a goal. It's the amygdala, which is the brain's emotional center, and this evaluates how important the goal is for you. So in Lindsey and I's cases, sometimes we didn't have the amygdala activated enough to really make sure that this goal was important to us for a real reason, but just kind of a flippant number basis reason. The frontal lobe is also activated, which is the brain's logical problem solution portion, which defines the goal and then digests it. So you have the original reason, which is in the amygdala. Then you have the frontal lobe, really helps bring that down, almost like from a projector perspective, and human design helps make it more tangible. And then these work together to push you towards the completion by having both the goal setting of the frontal lobe and then the reasoning why. And this is just really to support you in, the process of evolution. But then I think what was most important about the brain's relationship to goal setting was that the brain rewiring must occur when the individual sets the goal, and that the brain and the amygdala is actually not activated when a boss or a coworker or a partner or a friend or a parent sets a goal for you. So someone else setting a goal for you will actually not have the same brain effects as you setting that actual goal that you care about. And I think this is important to think about for teams or even relationships. When you come to a team meeting and you're like, we want to hit this revenue goal, we want to do this thing, that actually won't have the same effect or the same result as if you were to ask each member of the team separately or even in a team meeting, what would be a goal that they would want to set and why is that meaningful to them? So really kind of taking into consideration with goals that they're going to be unique to everyone. They're going to have different reasons why, based on that person's, the way that they grew up, their relationship, their love languages, whatever it is. And us coming up with our own reasons for why and the feeling that we want to achieve behind a goal is very, very important from not only a relational perspective, but also like a brain perspective.
Yeah, I think that's so, so important. And I think, yeah, for anyone really, whether you have a team or not, just knowing that knowing that if you are kind of picking up on, goals outside of you, or whether your boss or maybe your friends are setting goals and you're like, I'll take that goal as well. That sounds
Yes.
good. It's like, again, it's that making sure you have that emotional connection. I think that's such a good point. And it's also so, so good to bring in the science and just kind of visualize the amygdala being activated when you set a goal, just kind of like
Yes.
holding,
Yeah, like
doing
feeling it.
the hologram of your amygdala and
Yes. And
holding
say, do
it.
you like this? Do you feel connected to this? You could even be like, does this feel like something that I want to work towards?
Mm-hmm.
Even like asking that part of your brain, like, do I feel motivated by this?
Yes.
Does this feel good? And that's a good part too, to feel the feeling in your body. Like
Mm-hmm.
say a goal, and then you're like, how does this feel in my body when I say that I want to lose 20 pounds or I want to,
Mm-hmm.
fit in this size, or I want to fall in love, or I want to get a promotion. It's like, how does that feel in your body? And for the most part, most of our goals probably don't give us the feeling in our body that excites us or inspires us or motivates us to move forward. And I bet you the more untangible, creative, spiritual or just feeling goals are the ones that really feel different in our body. Thank you so much for tuning in to Morning Microdose by Almost 30.
We hope you enjoyed waking up.
As always, we encourage you to take what resonates and leave the rest. If you enjoyed this trip, tune into the full episode on the Almost 30 podcast. All episode information can be found in the show notes.
Make sure to subscribe, and if this becomes a part of your morning routine, be sure to share it with a friend. We have new inspiring doses Monday through Friday. Follow us on Instagram at Morning Microdose, and follow Almost 30 at Almost 30 Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the vortex.